Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm diving into a fun and creative project using the Cricut Maker 3 machine and the engraving tool. This tutorial is showing how to make personalized dog tags. It's actually way easier than you might think. Engraving inscribes your material to create a permanent etched imprint. You do need the Maker machines to do this, but I have seen a tool that's not from Cricut, but you can use it on the Explore machines. Let me know if you want to see me make a separate video testing that out. I purchased the dog tags from Amazon. They are made of aluminum. The Maker can engrave on aluminum, brass, then copper, pewter, sterling silver, leather, acetate. I'll put up a full list on the screen from Cricut's website. You, however, cannot engrave on the galvanized steel. Here's a picture of another dog tag that I thought was cute too. I can link both of these down in the description box. Also, you need to pay attention to the thickness. I've seen various max thickness sizes, but it seems that it needs to be either 1.5 or 2 millimeters max. The thickness of my dog tags are 1 millimeter. When purchasing online, it should say what it is. These are fun because it comes with a whole bunch of different colors. The one that I'm going to be using is pink. I'm going to measure my dog tag, and look how cool this cheat sheet is I found online and just printed it off. I use it all the time. For the width, it looks like it's 1.937 inches. For the height, it looks like it's 1.125. I also measured where that hole is, and it's 0.25 inches. That way I can put that in Cricut Design Space and it'll help me figure out my sizing for the name. What I'm going to do first is make a template with those measurements. I'll go over to my shapes and I want to find a rounded rectangle. It's nice, these shapes are free if you don't have Cricut access. I'll go up to operation type, then I'll change it to a guide. I zoomed in so it's easier to see this. I'll come up to my size, I'll hit unlock, then I'll just type in those measurements, which was 1.937 by 1.125. Then I'll hit enter. You saw me measure over to the end of where that hole is, and it was 0.25 inches. What I'm going to do is grab a square and I'll make it 0.25 inches. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to highlight over both my guide and my square. I'll go up to align. I'll select align left. I also think I'm going to center this vertically. Next, I'm going to grab my font. The type of font I wanted to use for this is a sketch font because it gives it that filled in look. With the engraving tool, it's basically like the pen feature where you have to have a thin line and use a writing font or have kind of those bubble letters, but I wanted it to have that filled in look, so I'm going to use a Cricut Design Space font. Looks like my font is down here. I'm zoomed in really far. I'll click on font. I also recently found something out super cool. I wish I would have put it in my Cricut Design Space hack video that I just recently posted, but you can move this around Design Space. I don't know why. I thought that was super cool. It makes it so much easier to look at the font while you're selecting one. I'm going to click on Cricut and type in Sketch, and I'm using Carly Sketch. Now I'm just going to type in my dog's name, Callie. I also had uploaded another font from Creative Fabrica. This was a sketch font as well. I'll type it in. I liked this font a lot, but I wish it didn't have kind of the bubble letter effect. So you could search online for sketch fonts if you don't want to use a Cricut Design Space font, but I just really loved this one. I'm going to bring it in here. Okay, now I'm just going to size this. I'm going to bring this down. Okay, I think this size looks good. I'm going to align this and center it vertically just to give me an idea of how it looks. I think that looks great. Now, the problem with this is lining this up on the mat is going to make it a little bit difficult. So that helped me figure out the size. It's not going to exactly help me figure out how to center it though. I'll show you what I'm going to do on the Make It screen on the mat. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. I have to do a little bit of guesswork just because I can't put it exactly in the center because of that hole. So I'll try to explain it the best I can. I'm going to hide this square. I also almost forgot the operation type. I'm going to go up to operation and I am going to select engrave. It kind of looks the same because it was set to a pen, but you can see it says engrave right here. So now I can click make it. So as you can see, all I have is the name Callie, and I'm gonna have to try to line this up as best as I can. What I'm going to do is bring it to the center of my mat. You know it's the center because it's in the middle of the 6 and the other 6 line. And what you can do is zoom in on the mat, which is really helpful. So I'm going to show a picture up on the screen, but both ends of my dog tags are right inside this line and right inside this line. But I can't put Callie just right in the center because of that hole. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of guessing, and I'm going to bring it over this way a little bit. With the centering, I have to do a little bit of guessing also. I think I need to bring it down a little bit. So we know that that hole is right about here. So that's why Callie has to go over to the right a little bit. We know that the end of the dog tag ends right here. So I feel like that looks pretty good. Now I'll click continue. For my setting, I'm going to click Browse All Material, and I'm going to search for aluminum. I'm going to choose anodized aluminum. If for some reason this isn't pulling up, that's probably because you haven't switched it to Engrave. It might be set to pen or cut, so you'll have to make sure that it's set to Engrave. It's telling me to load my Engrave tool. It's really nice. It's telling me what number it is. It's number 41. I keep all of my blades in this Cricut blade organizer. It's so great, especially if you have a maker machine. I want to show you my knife blade and my rotary blade. These are both their own blades, but with the engraving tool, you can use the adaptive tool system. If you have the scoring wheel already, then you only have to buy the engraving tip, which is nice. All you have to do is push down at the top and you can swap out those tips. This has a nice little spot at the bottom for it, and I just find the engraving one, it has the number 41 next to it, which is really nice, and I just add it onto my blade. I put the blade in clamp B and just make sure to line up those gears. You'll want to make sure to use your purple strong grip mat for this project, and you can see there's a little plus right in the center of the mat, which is super cool. I place my dog tag as best I can in the center of that plus sign. I also check the two lines on either end to make sure it's just centered as best as it can be. You'll want to add tape along each edge of the dog tag too to make sure that it sticks down well. I'm just using blue painter's tape. Also want to make sure it's on the very edge because you don't want it to be in the way of the engraving tool. I load the mat into the machine, then press the start button and it'll start engraving. I'm trying to get a good angle here of it engraving, but it was just so fun to watch it engrave, and I was really impressed because it didn't take it long at all. Here's what it looks like now that it's done. First of all, I was cutting it really close with that tape there, but it ended up being fine. Also, you can see little burrs or small fragments from the engraving. Don't try to just swipe your finger over it. I feel like that's just kind of the natural thought, but it could cut your finger. I'll remove the tape and then I'll show you how I get rid of those little fragments. I take a lint roller and I just go over it one time. That's all you need to do to get rid of it. I'm not sure if you can see, but on the lint roller, there's just a tiny little bit of pink. It took a little bit of the color off, so you might want to just use regular tape. There's a little bit of discoloration there, as you can see, and I think it was from the tape, so I just take a cloth and just run it over it, and it completely fixed it. Here's how this looks, and I'm just so impressed. It was so much easier, like I said, than I even imagined. And what's so cool is this is permanent. It's etched into the aluminum. I also tried putting this on my dog, Callie. She was very unsure about the camera, as you can tell, but look how cute it looks on her. Let me know what you think of this, and if you have any questions in the comments. Also, I would love it if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you are new.